What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'll be posting this video to YouTube and Facebook. You're watching the life of Dustin and Allison. This is mine and my wife's YouTube channel. We post all sorts of videos. Today's going to be a college football video. My weekly college football videos on the opponent that Georgia has upcoming for the week, the preview and prediction. This week, Georgia will be going on the road to begin SEC play against the Kentucky Wildcats up in Lexington, Kentucky. But before I get into the video, I just want to ask you guys to do us a quick favor, because like I said, we post all sorts of videos. Me and my wife do vlogs, and I do plenty of videos speaking on my faith in Jesus Christ. And we're trying to get some more subscribers. We're up to 177 subscribers right now, and we're proud of that. I still remember the day when we had like 13 subscribers and we were freaking out. We thought we were going to become YouTube famous. Not so much concerned anymore about being YouTube famous, but I do love doing getting out my videos about Jesus, hoping somebody in the world will get a hold of it that needs it. We do enjoy doing our vlogs, and I do enjoy these college football videos. So do us a favor, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button if you would like to see more videos like this. When you hit subscribe, you can hit the down arrow and tap all, so you'll get notified whenever we post a new video. And give us a thumbs up if you like the video, a thumbs down if you didn't. Please comment. Feel free to comment. In these college football preview and prediction videos I do every week, at the end of the video, I give my predicted final score of the game. So you feel free to get in the comment section and comment your predicted final score. So as I said, we're here in week 3, I believe. I get confused with the week 0 and the bye weeks. We're in week 3 of the college football season, 2024. Georgia is currently 2-0. with a 34-3 win over the Clemson Tigers and a 48-3 win this past weekend against Tennessee Tech, the Golden Eagles. And the Kentucky Wildcats, they are 1-1, and I believe they played like nobody week 1, like Eastern Kentucky, some crazy nobody like that blew them out. And then in week 2, last week, they lost to the South Carolina Gamecocks. And I'm just going to be dead honest with you. That game really caught me off guard, really took me by surprise. I honestly, especially after South Carolina's performance against Old Dominion in week 1, where they literally barely beat Old Dominion, I just thought that Kentucky had the far and away better roster. And I thought that Kentucky has a better dual threat quarterback in Brock Vandagriff. I know all about Brock Vandagriff. He was at Georgia for 3 years and transferred to Kentucky. I believe this might be his final year of eligibility. If I'm wrong about that, maybe he has one more year. Anyways, and Kentucky, you know, they got one of our linebackers last year in the transfer portal, Jamon Dumas-Johnson, and he was literally a finalist for, like, I can't keep up with all the awards and stuff like that, or All-Americans at the end of the year, or the preseason. He was some type of finalist for, like, best linebacker in college football or best middle linebacker, something like that. Just speaking on how good Georgia is, you got guys that are on finalist list for making the best linebacker in college football, and they can hardly get on the field at Georgia to the point where they're needing to transfer somewhere else to get enough playing time as they think they need. Jamon Dumas-Johnson, you know, he was a good linebacker. He wasn't quite as fast as some of the typical Georgia linebackers, and I honestly think that he's seen the writing on the wall with some of the younger talent we had coming in. We had Justin Williams coming in, #1 linebacker in last year's recruiting class, 2024, and Chris Cole coming in, like a top 10 linebacker in the class. Also behind him, we had C.J. Allen, who is now our starting middle linebacker. He might would have won the job over Jamon Dumas-Johnson, which is why maybe he transferred. And then you got guys like Raylan Wilson, and Georgia they're linebacker university. They just got linebacker after linebacker after linebacker. I think Dumas-Johnson may have seen the writing on the wall. But regardless, I just thought that Kentucky had the way better roster against South Carolina. And I honestly predicted the final score of that game to be Kentucky 34, South Carolina 20. You know, and it just wasn't that way. I think South Carolina just blew the doors off of them, 31-6. It was one of the more shocking games of the weekend. I know there's a lot going on with the players not being too happy with Mark Stoops. I don't know all the ins and outs and every detail of it, but basically when the Texas A&M job came open, Texas A&M was looking for a replacement for Jimbo Fisher, and Mark Stoops was one of the guys they were looking at. And he was almost about to go take a deal with Texas A&M or something like that. And then it ended up not working out at the last second, and he had to, you know, can you imagine your players getting wind that you're trying to go to another school after you've preached to them all their recruiting cycles and stuff, saying, I'm here for you, I'm here for Kentucky and the betterment of you. And by the way, you know, and with the people who say that, well, players are to be able to transfer and go wherever they want to go. The coaches go wherever they want to go. Yeah, the coaches have things called contracts. The coaches can't just up willy-nilly and leave and say, oh, I'm just going to, you know, forfeit my $41 million and go here for that. There's penalties, there's prices to pay. It's not just willy-nilly, you can go wherever, whenever you want to. So no, not only that, there was, thousands and thousands and thousands of players in the transfer portal each year. I guarantee you there's not thousands and thousands of coaches swapping schools each year. So that whole thing's overdone. But anyway, I go off on a rant, and I just lose where I even was in that whole thing. Oh, Mark Stoops was looking like he might take the Texas A&M job, and then it ended up not working out. And then when he turns around to his locker room and they're all looking at him in the face, you know, just a hard situation there in Lexington. And the last performance against South Carolina really showed. I didn't necessarily want Kentucky to be ticked off when they were playing Georgia. I'm not in some type of fear that Kentucky's going to beat Georgia. Honestly, at this point, I think that the roster advantage that Kirby Smart has is just way too much. Like, even if I believe that even if Georgia went in and played a sloppy game and Kentucky played a really, really good game, I still think Georgia would eke out the victory there. You know, Brock Vandagriff just looked very, very uncomfortable all day against South Carolina. He looked confused. He looked like he didn't know what was going on. He looked like he was still drinking water from a fire hose in the offense. I don't know all the ins and outs. Look, these coaches and stuff have forgot more about football than I will ever know. And when I do these videos, I come on here and I shoot straight from the hip. I ain't got no notes. I ain't got no, you know, I'm not going to give you 1,000 names and all this and that, but it just wasn't pretty. And we're so used to Kentucky. You know, Kirby Smart always says that Kentucky is every single year. I mean, Georgia plays teams like Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Florida. You know, we play all the SEC teams, and then we've played Ohio State recently. We've played Notre Dame. We play some physical football teams, some teams that have big lines of scrimmage, 300-pounders that are just maulers, and just big on the lines of scrimmage, athletic, strong, mow you over type teams. Kirby Smart consistently says that out of every team they play every year, Kentucky is always their most physical football game. Kirby said if you go and if you ask every one of our players, especially our line of scrimmage players, who is the most physical game that you play all year, he said they'll all, 90% of them will tell you Kentucky. Kentucky is an old school football team. They're going to get after you on the lines of scrimmage. They're going to try to establish a run game, and they are going to use the run game to try to open up a little bit of the pass game. And, you know, that's what they've been most of my life. You know, I don't necessarily know what they are now with Brock Vandagriff being a dual-threat quarterback. I mean, we've only got a 2-game sample size. But I know that Kirby says they're always their most physical game of the year. Well, that wasn't very physical, whatever they did against South Carolina. Their lines of scrimmage were just getting mauled. South Carolina's got some defensive end or edge player. I mean, I can't think of his name right now because all week long, you know, I got 1,000 names going through my head. But some like true freshmen and just like showing out. And it seemed that Kentucky was doing everything they could do, double teaming this guy, tagging off on this guy, trying to do whatever they could to stop him, and they just couldn't stop him. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if you can't stop that guy at South Carolina as a true freshman, and now he's a freak, don't get me wrong, he's putting some NFL stuff on highlight reels right now. But if you can't stop him, what are you going to do against guys like Jalen Walker? What are you going to do against guys like Gabe Harris at Georgia? You know, I don't know if this is going to go too well. I do know, I didn't know this until yesterday, that apparently a lot of the guys I watch, you know, I got 10 different things I watch, all my Georgia videos, all my national stuff, all my just all my videos I watch on YouTube. You know, that the stuff that I watch, inspires me to make my own videos. You know, I see a lot of guys on here, and you know, this isn't the most professional channel, and I don't want it to be. I don't want to be sitting in a room with perfect lighting and this and that. I just like walking around the yard, chopping it up, and I hope you guys enjoy these videos, because I enjoy doing them. But again, lost my train of thought there. Don't even know where I was. The weather. The weather is going to be an issue. But it's going to be an issue for both teams. It's not like it's just going to be an issue for one side or the other. Some of the guys I'm watching are saying it's supposed to rain like all day Thursday or Friday, and then it's supposed to rain and thunderstorm all day long Saturday. I believe Kroger Field is turf, which will be a little bit better in a storm. You know, I think the field may drain a little better. But Georgia, Kentucky has always traditionally been a line of scrimmage, ugly, four-quarter war in the trenches football game, and both teams just pound on each other the entire game. It's never a barn burner. Now Georgia did blow the doors off Kentucky last year when they came to Athens. I think Kirby Smart was kind of trying to send a statement. I think Kentucky came in the game ranked as like the number 20 team. They had just like destroyed Florida. Kentucky had this big bad running back that they were saying was going to come into Athens, and everybody was saying, you know, Kentucky, they probably won't win this game, but they're really going to push Georgia. They're going to push Georgia into a fourth quarter game. Yeah, that didn't happen. Georgia beat them, I think, like 151-3 or something like that. No, I'm just kidding. It was like 51-13. It was an absolute blowout. That running back, I think he had like less than 60 yards rushing that day. It was a beatdown. I don't think it's going to be that type of game. That's a rare thing between Georgia and Kentucky for a game to work out like that. I believe I'm correct on this. I don't think that Kentucky, regardless of how the game goes, Kentucky hasn't beaten Georgia since like 2009. I don't know how many years consecutive that is. I believe it's 2009, if I'm off by a couple of years, you know, but I believe Kentucky has not beaten Georgia since 2009. I'm 99% sure on that. Georgia's they've dominated this series. Kentucky, to me, they play football a lot like Georgia. Like I said, physical on the lines of scrimmage, going to try to establish a run game, use the run game to open up some play action passing. It's just that they don't have the same level of player or the same level of coaches that Georgia does, the same level of anything, facilities, recruiting, everything that Georgia does is just at a higher level than what Kentucky does. I've always referred to Kentucky as like not Georgia's little brother, but Georgia's like third brother, third younger brother, however you say that. It's looking like it's going to be pouring down rain the whole game. The game is already, like I said, a hard-fought physical trench game, low-scoring, boring type of football game. Nobody likes that. I like to watch those type of games. I'm like Kirby Smart. I enjoy a good, hard-fought, physical game where both teams are trying to establish a run game and they're just beating on each other the whole game. I enjoy a game like that. I mean, I don't want to see 7-3. You know, I don't want to see 2-0. Somebody gets a safety and wins the game. But I enjoy a good, 31-24 game. A good, well, that's a little high. I enjoy a good 21-13 game every now and then. You know. Sometimes this is what I believe. This is where I'm getting into my prediction of the game and what I think is actually going to happen. Sometimes I believe that Kirby Smart knows that they have the physical edge over Kentucky. Kentucky's going to line up and they're going to try to blast you. They're going to hit you in the face mask. But that's how Georgia also plays, and we just have a little bit better athletes and a little bit. Kentucky's just as good as Georgia in the first string, but then when Georgia rolls in their second string and their third string, and they're just as good as the first string, it starts to wear on you. And I think that Kirby just knows that Mark Stoops is going to try to just be physical and play that type of football game. And I think Kirby is just fine sitting back and letting it play out. And I think that Kirby Smart, we're going into a bye week, and then we're going to play at Tuscaloosa. We're going to play Alabama. Okay. Kirby doesn't mind one bit having a physical game and letting each other just beat on each other for 4 quarters and just eking out a 24-10 win. He doesn't mind it one bit. I think Kirby Smart sometimes purposely causes adversity in a football game, especially when he thinks they've pretty much sealed the win. I believe when You know, if Georgia goes up 14 points, if Georgia goes up 10 or 14 on Kentucky, I mean, that's pretty much ball game, guys. I mean, I'd like to go through the years. I should have went through the years and seen how much Kentucky has scored on Georgia in previous years, but they don't usually get above 14. I think Kirby will just purposely sometimes, maybe not against Kentucky, but especially last week against Tennessee Tech, I think sometimes he'll handcuff our players, like literally put them in a hard position and tell them still go win this. You know, purposely trying to cause adversity. And, you know, the last thing I believe he wants to do going into a bye week before he goes and plays Alabama is to go in there and smoke Kentucky. You know, I truly believe that if Georgia opened up the playbook, if they took their foot completely off the gas, if they put their foot completely on the gas, I meant to say, open up the playbook, don't matter if it's raining or not, we're going to run our plays. We're going to go crazy. Like, we're going to run everything we got on defense. We're going to come up with all kind of crazy exotic blitzes. We're just going to put our foot to the gas, and we're going to try to just thrash this thing. We're going to play this game as if it was the national championship game. We're going to play this game like Kentucky was the best team in the country, and we're going to prepare and do everything we can to win this game. I truly believe that Georgia would blow the doors off Kentucky, just like they did last year. I believe if they went into this game in the rain, in a rain game, and put their foot and if they played with everything they had, and threw I mean, the players are going to play with everything they have, but if the coaches threw the playbook at them and just opened up the gates and said, we're going to do whatever it takes, I truly believe, even in the rain, Georgia would probably win this game somewhere like 42-7. I truly believe Georgia would blow the doors off of them. But like I said, I think Kirby is just, I think he's going to sit back, and we're just going to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. And we're just going to try to pound them. I mean, I think Carson, you know, I honestly believe Carson will have, you know, maybe 15 attempts passing the ball. It depends on the rain. Like, you know, I don't see, you know, that's another thing. We don't for 100% sure know what it's going to do yet. I mean, they're calling for like a 90% chance of rain all day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And by the time we get to game time, it could not even have rained. Yeah, there's no telling what's going to happen. But either way, I think it's just going to be a hard-fought trench game like Georgia Kentucky always is. I just don't see Kentucky being able to do much in this game. I mean, Georgia's past 3 football games. Florida State in the Orange Bowl, then Clemson in the season opener, and then Tennessee Tech last week. All 3 teams have scored 3 points on a field goal. Teams can't even score a touchdown against Georgia. And now you're going to line up Georgia and Kentucky, they play like almost identical to each other. Georgia's a lot more exotic on their defensive side of the ball. We do a lot more, I believe we do a lot more exotic things on defense than Kentucky. But the way we play offense, you know, it's very similar in my opinion. And I just think that Kirby's going to line up and be just fine with having a good old-fashioned trench war. I think we're gonna score 2 or 3 touchdowns, maybe kick a couple of field goals, and hey, play defense. Just lock them down. You know, I don't foresee us going in there and putting up 40 and trying to blow Kentucky out. I think that Kirby is going to be interested in winning this game and getting past this game with as few injuries as possible. That's just what I think. It's a sad thing. It's a sad thing for teams like Kentucky and teams like Georgia Tech, who it's seemingly, when you look at the final score, it seems that they played Georgia close. But really, in the reality of things, Georgia's just so good that all they're doing is using you as just a get-by game. We're just like, Georgia Tech Georgia will beat Tennessee 38-0, 41-17. We'll go and just beat the brake drums off the Alabama Crimson Tide 33-18 in the national title game. You know, people will go on and on about how Ole Miss is going to beat Georgia coming into Sanford Stadium as a top 10 team, and Georgia will just go in there and blast them 52-17. But people like Kentucky and people like Georgia Tech, we use that as a, yeah, we're just going to literally roll our helmets out here, and you know, give a 75% effort and still beat you by 3 touchdowns. This is a trash talk channel too. When I start talking about these games, I start getting more and more fired up. I'm tired of waiting in this sport. It seems like all we do is wait. It seems like college football does have the longest off season out of any sport in America. We wait and we wait and we wait, and then the season finally gets here, and then we get so excited and so amped up, And then the game comes on, and it seems like 5 minutes go by and the game's over. And then what are we doing? We're waiting all day Sunday, all day Monday, all day Tuesday. We just wait and wait and wait. Well, I'll be waiting for this one. I know that after this game, it will be the longest 2 weeks of my life, waiting on Georgia to go down to Tuscaloosa and play Alabama. And by the way, if you're seeing this video and you're an Alabama fan, you're a Georgia fan, whoever a fan you are, if your team's going to be playing Georgia this year, subscribe to this channel. I'll be doing a preview and a prediction on what I think is going to happen in the game against every team. And you know what's coming next? It'll be Alabama. Georgia will play Kentucky this Saturday. Then Alabama will be playing Wisconsin. Both the teams will have a bye week, and then we will play each other. You know, I'm actually thinking of a final score kind of on the fly here. I haven't really put much thought into it just because I know it's going to be a low-scoring dogfight. I'll be dead honest with you. I don't think Kentucky scores a touchdown in this game. I don't. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kentucky kick 2, maybe 3 field goals. But with it raining and with it just being the way that Kirby likes to play and the way that Mark Stoops likes to play, I just don't see Kentucky being able to score a touchdown in this game. And if they do, it's not like I'm going to be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. You know, 40 people will get in the comment section and tell me how, oh yeah, you know, Georgia will beat them 27 to 10, and people will get on there talking about, oh, they scored a touchdown. They scored a touchdown. Yeah, they scored a touchdown. Yeah, Georgia had their foot half throttle and still beat them by. Look, Georgia's a 24-point favorite in this game. That's what it's at currently. I think it opened up at like 21. Georgia's a 24-point favorite in the game, and honestly, that's about what I think it's going to be. I think they're going to win somewhere in that ballpark. You know, I don't know if it's going to be over that or under that or whatever. I'm not trying to figure that into my score prediction here. I'm honestly trying to think of a score in my mind as we're speaking. I told you how I think the game's going to go. I've probably said it 6 times. I think it's going to be an ugly one. I think it's going to be an ugly, ugly, ugly football game. I think a lot of people are going to be bored with it. I'm gonna enjoy it. It's going to be a rainy, physical dogfight, and I'll say I think Georgia will score 3 touchdowns. I think we can get on the board 3 times, and I think we kick a field goal or 2. I'll give my final score. I'll say Georgia 27, Kentucky 3. Y'all have a good day.